Well, the sun's just rising to the right of us here, and we managed to get out of camp nice and early, which was the goal. So from here on, we're going to gooi north, try and make up some time on this very bumpy, corrugated, sandy road. And then, yeah, rest of the day, we're very unsure of what the conditions of the road will be because the Western Cape's had a lot of rain, and we need to drive on a lot of gravel roads, hence trying to make up time. But yeah, our next stop would be Van Reinsdorp, so we've got to take a sand road north and a gravel road east, and then the N7 south. So wish us luck, but beautiful day, so it should be fun.
We thoroughly enjoyed this coastal road, but sadly it would be our last encounter with the Atlantic as we near our turning point up ahead.
Up ahead here we have the Groenrivier Lighthouse. In the previous West Coast series that we made here a couple of years ago, we continued along the coast all the way up the Namakwa National Park on the Caracal Eco Trail and camped another night. But this time we are now turning inland and we're gonna hook back up on the N7. We don't like to do the same thing twice if we can help it, so it's a different route this time around, but nice to see that the lighthouse is still in good condition.
This gravel road follows the Groenrivier eastwards towards the N7, and we'd be on this road for the next hour. The road is pretty corrugated, but with our tyres still aired down, it doesn't really bother us too much, and we're able to enjoy the Namakwa land in all of its simple, uncomplicated beauty. Today's episode is all about the journey. We are making our way down to the Buffelsrivier near Langsberg, and the easy way would have been to follow the highways, continuing down the N7 and then hopping onto the N1, which would bypass the Cederberg, the Tankwa Karoo and the Karoo Highlands. But we're not those people. We've opted for the slower and more scenic detour, taking us up the mountains towards Calvinia and then down on a very remote gravel road through Middelpos and Sutherland, gaining 1,700 meters of elevation before losing it again at the Komsberg Pass. And there would be some surprises laying in wait for us as we neared camp, but more on that later.
Okay, well, the N7 is right over there and we're going to be on tar for the next few hours, so I do want to get these tires up to road pressures just so we can drive at 120. We're going to use this. Obviously we've got our engine bay compressor from DAG Outdoors. DAG Outdoors also makes this. It's a digital tire inflator, and essentially you connect to the tire, you choose your pressure, USB-C charged and got a nice display. So this should allow us to just, connect the compressor and then we don't have to keep monitoring it. It'll automatically switch off when it's at our pressures. There you go, 2.4.
This highway section was probably the most boring of the day, but our goal was to just get to Van Reinsdorp, stock up on some essentials, and then get past the roadworks on Van Reins Pass as quickly as possible, so we didn't have to rush the rest of the drive.
Well, a little earlier this morning we left the Northern Cape and we've just come into the Western Cape and stopped off at the town of Van Reinsdorp to stock up on some water to fill our tank, some bread, and what else did we get? Some wood, some extra wood, and now we are heading back up Van Reins Pass and back into the Northern Cape, and then later we're going to go back to the Western Cape again. So it's going to be a pretty wild day, but yeah, our last little section of tar road driving up ahead, and then it's all gravel road for the rest of the afternoon.
Ah yes, that's what I like to see in front of me. Gravel all the way to the horizon, Karoo Koppies scattered in the distance, and nobody else in sight.
Well, we're into the afternoon hours now and we've just hit our halfway mark. Everything that way is gravel all the way to our camp tonight. So depending on the condition of the road, it may be a nice enjoyable drive, it may be painfully slow, but we'll find that out pretty soon. Really looking forward to this drive. Last time I did this was, probably 5 or 6 years ago, shortly after I met Nicole. A lot of memories attached to this particular route all the way down to Sutherland, so we're going to enjoy this one.
Four and a half years ago, Nicole and I pulled over at one of these rock piles and found a succulent plant growing amongst the stones. We took it home along with a few of the surrounding rocks, and it's been thriving outside our house with no water or care whatsoever, probably only growing a centimeter since we planted it. A small reminder of a moment in time. We passed the little town of Middelpos and the turn off to the Karoo National Park, a popular destination for overlanders. The Karoo lies just below the plateau that we're driving on at the base of the escarpment, and we have some pretty fond memories of the place. A trip back is in order, but for now we have a different destination. As you can see on the map here, the plateau ends just to our right and the Steenkampshoek campsite just at the base. So close, yet so far. The scale of this area never ceases to amaze me.
Well, we continue to climb higher in altitude as we near the town of Sutherland. Temperatures dropped to 18 degrees, which is a nice comfortable temperature, and we are at almost 1,600 meters above sea level. So yeah, getting pretty high. It's funny considering we were right at sea level this morning, but yeah, probably in the next half an hour to 45 minutes we'll be in Sutherland, and that's kind of the halfway point of our gravel road drive since we got off the tar road. So yeah, long grueling drive requiring a lot of concentration on the road because there's been some heavy rain, there's some washouts on the road, so you can't just cruise at sort of 80 to 100 kilometers per hour. You've got to be very, very alert, keep it slow in case you need to slam on the brakes. But we are making progress, and yeah, we're still hoping to get to camp before sunset.
The gravel road suddenly turns to tar, and not long after we pull into the quirky town of Sutherland. At first, this may look like a normal Northern Cape town, but then you see these weird round domes on the side of the road and realize there's something different about this one. Aside from a surprising number of classic old cars lying in the streets, there's something about the names here that will catch your attention. The Galaxy Guesthouse, Galileo, Sterland, Saturn, the Mars Bar. Do you see the pattern? Well, Sutherland is known primarily for two things. Firstly, it is the coldest place in South Africa. The mean minimum temperature for August is minus 9.8 degrees Celsius. But the very thing that makes it so cold, its high altitude and clear skies, is also the thing that makes it the perfect place to see the stars. Just outside Sutherland, at an altitude of 1,837 meters, lies the South African Astronomical Observatory, where a number of telescopes can be found, including some owned by Korea, Japan, Poland, and Google, and 5 owned by South Africa. The most famous one, however, is the SALT, or South African Large Telescope, the largest optical telescope in the Southern Hemisphere. When we visited here in 2020, we heard accents from all over the world, probably astronomers working at the observatory, and it's estimated that the observatory attracts around 15,000 annual tourists. That's quite a lot for such a tiny town. Just outside Sutherland, we take a turn-off which pulls us off the tar once again and onto a very remote gravel road. Most travellers leaving Sutherland would probably follow the tar road down the Komsberg Pass and then south to the N1, but we're taking this gravel back road for 2 reasons. Firstly, it is more direct. It takes us straight to the campsite without having to turn onto the highway. But secondly, the whole goal of this journey is to take the gravel back roads and explore parts of the country that people just don't get to see. This road will take us down the lesser known Komsberg Pass and onto a set of farm roads following the Buffels River, which we would later find out was in flood. But that's a problem for later. We're blissfully unaware at this point and just enjoying our last moments on the plateau before descending the pass.
It's a pity we couldn't stay in the town of Sutherland much longer, but we really need to get moving. It's 14 degrees Celsius now, which is crazy. 1,600 meters. That's just what happens when you have such an altitude gain, but to go from 28 degrees Celsius just a few hours ago down to 14, that shows why this is one of the coldest places in the country. But yeah, really looking forward to this next section of the drive. We're going to be descending now down from this very high plateau down towards the town of Langsberg. So it's a road I've never taken before. It's a road that I don't think many people have taken. It's not the normal route to get back down to civilization, so I'm gonna definitely soak it in and enjoy it on the way.
Suddenly, the flat plains drop off and we find ourselves looking over an endless expanse of hilltops below us. This would have made an ideal spot for a late lunch, but we need to keep going as we have no idea what the condition of the road ahead might look like. Our fears were realized when we reached the base of the pass and found that the rain a few days prior had caused some proper damage. It was still drivable, but it meant that we had to take it very slow and at some points even crawl through the washouts. That's unfortunately the risk that comes with taking the back roads, but we wouldn't have it any other way and we just keep on chugging along. Here's the problem though. We were essentially following the Buffels River from its source in the mountains downstream. Not a problem under normal circumstances, but it slowly dawned on us that every time we had to cross, it was getting stronger and stronger. You can see by the silt deposits in the road here that it had been bad a few days before, so we were lucky not to catch it at its worst, but it made us question what lay ahead of us. Most of these river crossings had concrete laid down along the road, but as we feared, we eventually reached a point where even the concrete had been covered with rocks, silt and debris. It wasn't so much the river crossing itself that we were concerned about here, it was the debris in the road, and we wondered whether it would get worse at further crossings. But we spoke to a local who told us that this crossing would be the worst of them, so if we could get across here, we'd be good to go.
Okay, well, this is about to get interesting. This river has obviously come down in flood, the Buffels River that we're actually going to be camping next to. And this is our situation. So there in the middle there's a whole lot of rocks deposited. So we're going to be doing a bit of rock crawling once again. But hey, we've had some practice at some of our earlier stops in the strip, so let's take it slow. And there is concrete underneath there, so I'm not worried about that. And we just saw a quad bike cross, so we should be able to get across no problem. But yeah, we're running out of time, so let's go.
This river unfortunately has a history of severe flooding. In 1981, a flash flood killed 104 people in the town of Langsberg, not far downstream from here. We'll be talking a little bit more about this sad event in the next episode.
I've got nothing left.
Okay, well, we just made it to our camping spot just after sunset, but we took the turn off, we came in, and the whole road was completely flooded. In fact, we almost got stuck in the mud. So we thought, you know, that's it, we have to find a random spot to camp, but managed to find some signal, phoned the person who runs this place, and they've given us coordinates to like an emergency access road around the back. So I think we will have a place to stay tonight, but it was a close one there. We almost didn't make it. It's been over 11 hours of driving non-stop, but the day is coming to an end. We'll soon find camp. It's a beautiful evening, and looking forward to a good dinner tonight.
Our accommodation at Buffelsrivier really surprised us. The ablution facilities were really good, and they even had a kitchen area with a communal fridge and microwave. We were hoping to wild camp along the river, which you can do here, but with the flood damage, all access to the roads along the river had been cut off, and since we were the only campers on the whole property, we were very happy to park off on the grass. For once on this trip, we're not making a fire. We've decided that after such a long day of driving, literally sunrise to sunset, we'd be doing something a little bit quicker. Nachos! I am happy to report that we've passed the dust seal test. One of the things I hated most about my previous setup is that no matter how many dust seal kits people try to put into the tailgate, the dust always got in. We've driven on gravel roads literally the entire day for 11 hours. And there's no dust in here. The outside is caked with thick layer of dust, but the inside there's nothing. There's a bit of sand here, but that's from our feet when we were camping. No dust, so that is good to know. It's been another really long day on the road. Once again, just longer than we expected, with a few little twists and turns along the way. But we've come to a beautiful camp tonight. One that's pretty easy to settle down in. It's not like a completely wild camp where we've got to set up our own shower and all of that. We're comfortable here. We've got some nice grass beneath us instead of sand. And we've got some nachos, so we haven't had to wait for a fire either. So with that, we're going to bid you good night. Probably get an early night. Tomorrow we've got more gravel road driving, definitely not as long of a drive, so we can take it nice and slow tomorrow morning, and we'll catch you then. Once again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. In the next episode, we'll be following the same goal of sticking to gravel roads only as we head southeast along farm roads that aren't often traveled, and once again have to deal with flood damage, 1,000 farm gates, and breathtaking views as we leave the Karoo behind us and head towards the Landkloof. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. We'll see you there.